Hey, this is Carter Machiavelli here. As you can hear, my voice is really fucked. Ugh. I'm in holidays right now, and I spent the past couple of days farting, drinking, and going on some pretty cool parties. And my voice has really worn out because of it already for 2 days. I wasn't drinking anything yesterday, but my voice still didn't regenerate, which is suboptimal. Now, anyways, I've been half-ass following the news about Johnny Somali, and because I made a video on it, theorizing why South Korea's intelligence service probably has an eye on him, and yeah, they're now officially investigating him, probably. And I put out some theories, some very wild, far-fetched theories, and it appears I wasn't taking one factor into account, or it appears I wasn't taking a reason into account, which is more likely than the reason of Japan provoking him against South Korea. I mean, why would the NIS think that, right? So, I saw a clip of Johnny Somali talking about being sent to court and getting asked if he is in any affiliation with North Korea and communism, and he said in his stream that his answer was, I refuse to give an answer, I invoke the fifth mate. Now, basically, this is quite interesting because this would explain a lot of things, right? So, South Korea's intelligence service, the NIS or whatever it's called, they have basically hit the gold pot with this one because things start to add up and make sense in a lot of ways. So, what has probably been happening is that, from my point of view, from my theory, is that North Korea has been getting, or Johnny Somali has been getting attention for his dreams through the North Korean government, through some kind of, I don't know, OSINT department from the North Korean government, or some kind of YouTube or something, because it hit the news big. And what I assume is happening right now is that North Korea has recruited this guy, probably sometime when he was in Japan, like digitally probably, to piss off South Korea as much as possible. And they probably already told him what to do before he went to South Korea in the first place. So basically, the women's statue that he twerked about, it was probably because these statues are not that big and really recognizable like the Eiffel Tower in Paris, for example. They are moderately supple, I would say. So they aren't very large, they just stand there, and if you don't know anything about South Korea's history, you probably don't know what these statues mean. So I'm assuming this whole twerking thing and kissing the statue and stuff like that was a deliberate action coming from Johnny Somali because he was being paid to do so. And the reason for that is, why this would make sense, is because there have been numerous reports on Johnny Somali being locked into the country of South Korea and being, well, basically homeless, right? So I think he got kicked out of the apartment or something, but he would have been kicked out of the apartment after a while because with no job in South Korea, only financing through his streams, he eventually wouldn't have a place to live. However, he still manages up to this day to do a lot of bullshit there and basically provoke the whole South Korean government, provoke the whole South Korean society. And what I think the majority of the pay that Johnny Somali is getting through his streams, his donations, is coming from is actually North Korea. Because I don't think there are that many people who really watch his streams and are that like sadistic against countries who would like donate enough money to him collectively. So he has a place to stay, he has food, and he has energy to provoke the South Korean government another time. So, lastly, because Johnny Somali has like publicly stated that his response to his affiliations with North Korea was a very well suspicious response, a response of I invoke the fifth mate. I assume this is what is happening, and it's pretty clear that it's all adding up. Now I can't tell whether Johnny Somali has been doing these things in Japan because he has been recruited by the Chinese government to do so. That would be a little bit far-fetched, but if we take into account that there are theories that I Show Speed has been recruited by the Chinese government to do some positive PR for them, this could also be a theory to take into account. Now, of course, regarding I Show Speed and the Chinese government, this could also be a little bit far-fetched. This is a common theory that is spreading around like a kind of conspiracy theory that is a little bit far-fetched, because at the end of the day, what I Show Speed has been giving shout-out to is the Chinese society in general. Like, they are very welcoming, accepting, and stuff like that. So, which he associated with China being not so bad of a country that the West reports it to. Which, of course, like, the people there can be welcoming and happy, but you can't take a look behind the curtains. What is going on there in the on the government side, what is going on there on the surveillance side. So you can't have a surveillance state which indoctrinates all of its citizens to be welcoming and happy towards foreigners, because I Show Speed wasn't the first black man in China. If you check out Brother How, I think, this kind of black guy who was coming into China and is now working as a singer for the Chinese government, like singing like actual Chinese communist propaganda. It's hilarious and terrifying at the same time. And it's also kind of fascinating because he speaks fluent Chinese as a black guy. And the other part of it, like the other explanation for it, which is an easier explanation, is probably that the Chinese people are generally friendly and welcoming in the first place to visitors, and I Show Speed has only gotten to the surface level as a traveler on China, so he hasn't lived in China, he hasn't had papers in China or something. He was just traveling there, checking out the fascinating culture and Chinese monks and the Shaolin culture, and this could be a much easier and much more logical explanation than the Chinese recruiting him. But it's like a more of a 50-50, because both explanations, of course, are pretty valid if we take into account how big I Show Speed is, how big his influence is, and how much of an effect or control of public opinion I Show Speed could have potentially have with him speaking well about China. Now, I'm getting really off topic right now. What I wanted to come back to is with Johnny Somali, on the other hand, it's very likely that he is financed by the North Korean government as a kind of useful idiot to, well, piss off the South Korean government, cause madness there, disrupt the harmony of the government in itself. But of course, as always, in such topics, it is only a theory. At the end of the day, no one will know what the truth is except for like Johnny Somali and the South Korean intelligence services as well. But it's kind of like a fascinating topic to get into. Thank you for watching. Man, I sound like RFK right now.